Hi, I'm Virginia, and this is the Health Creators Podcast, where we talk about the impact and business of being a health content creator as a healthcare professional. Here with me today is Liz. Thank you so much for being here.
Hi, Virginia. It's great to be with you today.
Thank you. So, do you want to explain a bit more about who you are and what you do?
Yes, I'm a bit unusual. I used to be a breast surgeon, and then I got breast cancer back in 2015, and then again in 2018 and 2023. And I'm all clear now, but the side effects of cancer meant I lost my job. I couldn't operate. And I was bored, and I wanted to find new ways to help people. And that led to me speaking and writing and blogging and eventually creating videos online so I could help people in a different way. And it is amazing how my life has changed completely from putting one really bad video on Instagram several years ago.
Brilliant. So, you also started with writing a book. So, your story kind of began with trying to get a book published. Do you want to start there?
Yeah, so actually my writing first started with a blog back in 2015, just to explain what cancer was like as a doctor and a patient. And through that, I met an incredible professor of breast cancer called Trish Greenhouse. And we both bought books written by patients because we didn't know what it was like to be a patient. And that led to us writing our first book, and the Complete Guide to Breast Cancer, purely because we had no idea what questions people were asking online. Like, is it safe to have sex during chemotherapy because my husband's hair will fall out? And realize there's so much misinformation. We need to help people. Then I wanted to try writing a memoir because I think I've got quite an interesting story as a woman in a man's world. And the publisher said, yeah, no, sorry, your Instagram feed is just hedgehogs and making your own clothes, and you only have 2,000 followers. No one will buy it, and we can't market it. Come back when you've got 10,000 followers. Because Instagram was my cancer-free space. So I started making videos very badly, reading out my script and no idea about Canva and graphics and captions. Well, in 6 months, I got my 10,000 followers. Hard work, replying to every single comment. It was a nightmare. And then the publisher said, yeah, we love it, we love you, but no one will buy the book. So I went to a company called Unbound and crowdfunded my book in 10 days, raising 17 grand purely through my social media followers. And then Vishal Virani from YouTube said, hey, do you want to join the YouTube Health Shelf? And I thought, oh God, not another channel.
And the
Here
rest
I
is
am. The rest is history.
So what kind of impact have your videos and your books had so far?
It's really funny because I live in a tiny village in Suffolk and I do my work in my shed at the bottom of the garden. I just put stuff out there online. And it's hard to know what impact you're having because when I was a doctor, you see patients and they come back and they tell you and they hug you and they flash you in the supermarket to show you their scars. That's all. You don't really know, is anyone actually watching the video or have they clicked on it? Is it making a difference? But every couple of days, I get messages from my community who've listened or read or watched what I've done. And they say, thank you. I get this. I understand this. I'm now having a date with my husband. Or I went and bought myself a jaunty hat because I listened to your style podcast. And that to me, God, it's everything. To know you can make a difference to someone's life. And it's all over the world. That's what I found amazing about YouTube. Women in Korea saying, thank you, I now understand chemotherapy. It keeps me going.
I love that. And I would say also you're quite a business savvy woman. So how have you kind of turned this into your livelihood as well? Because you are often invited to speak or create videos and had to retire from your job early because of the side effects of chemotherapy. So how has this become a new stream of, your livelihood, a source of income for you?
It was a real learning curve. So I retired at 43 and my pension was just under $1.5 grand a month. And I'm used to earning more than that. Now, my husband is a consultant surgeon. We don't need the extra money, but it is quite a drop when your joint income halves. And I didn't know what to do. And I think I started talking as a way to help people. But every time I was asked to speak, we'll pay your conference fees for you. We won't pay you, but you won't have to pay to attend the conference we've asked you to come and speak at. Or we're a charity, we don't pay. And I just thought this was normal because when doctors get asked to speak at conferences with your abstract, you have to pay to go to the conference, to travel, to present your abstract. You don't get paid for going on stage. And I did this for about a year and I was starting to get a name for myself. And I just thought, should I be charging? And I started charging about £50 because I can't imagine getting paid more than that. And then I had a talk with a guy at a conference who said, well, I got paid $2,000 to do that. And I went, what? I can never ask £2,000. And it's believing I'm not worth charging that money. But over the last 5 years, I've slowly increased my rates. And I joined a speaking agency who actually told me what I should be charging, because women don't talk about it and men don't tell you. And I think women are generally paid almost a fifth of what men are for public speaking. But I know I'm bloody good at what I do. So I now will charge, 3 to 5K for a big keynote at a not-for-profit organization, because I know I'm worth it. And even when it's a charity and they say, we don't have any money, I say, well, I'm not speaking for free. Because every single person in that room is being paid either through study leave or annual leave. The cleaners are being paid to mop the toilets. I'm not taking 2 days out of my life of holiday to travel to speak for free. And I feel really bad having to justify that. But it really gets my goat, especially as a cancer patient. They never charge patients to come and talk. And because you don't work, it's not like I need to take 2 days off work to go and travel. You just think it fits in. But actually, that's 2 days of my life I could be doing something else. And I've learned I would rather say no to more small paying gigs and just do a few of the high paying gigs that actually give me the money to pay for the podcast and the video production and everything. So I think it is learning, ask what other people are doing and charge your worth and double it. And if no one bats an eyelid, then you think, well, okay, that's now my new rate. It's really scary to do, the fear of someone saying no. The video editing, I've spent a lot of money on books and research and all the software and the kit, because I wanted to make my videos the best they could be. And I monetized really quickly. And I've got 25,000 followers and I get about £350 a month. I've got a lovely guy down the road who edits my videos and I don't break even. I'm still in debt for that. But at the moment, I can just about cover it with my speaking fees. I don't want to take on ad deals as a doctor. It doesn't feel right to me ethically. I don't want to sponsor anybody who has a product that I don't use. It just doesn't feel right. So I know I'm turning a lot of money away. But I have suddenly that doesn't make sense, bad English, sorry, Mum. I've been asked to do videos for other companies. So on Instagram, I think I hit 70,000 followers and suddenly America kind of woke up to this woman. And so can I create breast cancer videos for a lingerie company? And I'm kind of working out the going rate. I think I charge about £1,000 a minute for that. Think, oh, okay. And then I've just been asked to do a video for the NHS to promote the flu vaccine. And again, you help me work out how much I should charge. Because you think, yeah, I can do that really quickly, but it can take 8 or 10 hours to research a script. And then it's the editing and the lighting and the B-roll. And it's actually a lot of time. And I think we don't put a value on who we are or what our influence is worth because nobody talks about it. I don't think I'm ever going to make millions from what I do on here. But at the moment, it's just kind of enough to think, yeah, I like doing this.
Yeah, I really like that. And I think it's really easy to almost discount yourself for all of the skills that you have and your level of expertise. You've gone through the whole of medical school, you've actually practiced, you've also had the patient experience. So, you've said that you've experienced it through both sides of the table. I really like that phrase that you used in a recent...
Well, actually, it's 3 sides because I've been a carer for Mum, but yeah.
Oh, okay. So then you got 3 sides of the table. Also got triangular table. So yeah, I think that's really interesting. And I think also, you don't realize how good you are at what you do. I mean, it is really challenging. It's really hard to grow any kind of following online. And so I think you need to, give yourself props and really think about your skill set is amazing and well done for like really persevering and having your lust for learning and just upskilling and, not giving up and also having boundaries as well. I think that's really important.
It is hard. And it's been such a curve. I think as a doctor, I'm used to speaking in long technical words. So I've had to learn how to write for the Daily Mail reader to simplify everything. And as a doctor, we tell people what we want them to know. But I've realized, especially with YouTube, you tell them what they want. What are they searching for? And it all comes, and I hated this. When I first started YouTube videos, someone said it's all about the thumbnail. What's a thumbnail? What's B-roll? I've never heard of these terms. But you now realize it's like when you're scrolling Netflix for something to watch. That title and that little graphic decide whether your incredible video is any good. And most people only watch the first 2 or 3 minutes and don't wait until get to the good stuff halfway through. So there's a real learning journey about how to do this. But I think By learning to reply to comments and to value the audience. That's really, really helped. That's how I drove my community, by answering to all the comments, by accepting this is a community you are building. And I don't want to have 1 million followers. I'd rather have 10,000 who think I'm amazing and reply. And I've got some who every single time I post anywhere, they say thank you. It's like, oh, you're my super fans. You're why I do this.
I love that. I think there's a saying that, if you get 1,000 super fans that are willing to even give you $1,
Yeah.
then, you've made it, basically. So,
yeah.
Yeah. So what is your process for creating videos? Because you say, your audience kind of steers which direction you go in. And so how do you make a decision to actually sit down and script and film and create something?
So when I first started, I took my breast cancer book and basically split it up into paragraphs. That's a video, that's a video, that's a video. I think I can break this down. That's easy content for me. Some of it's quite niche, like exemestane, a drug that very few people have, but I've got a lot of people who want to know. But it was basically breaking down what I know as a doctor that I can explain to people in simple terms. And then I get questions all day long about cancer myths, or can you explain this, or can you explain that? So I thought, instead of answering it as a DM on Instagram, I could create a quick short about that. And I must have a list of 200 questions that I've still got to go through. Now, my third book coming out is called The Cancer Roadmap, kind of explaining what cancer is generally and what does and doesn't cause it and treat it. So I've got lots of, call it bunker, myths to bust from TikTok and things that aren't medically accurate. So I've got a long list of those. Part of it's choosing what I feel like doing at the time. And what I do is it takes about 8 or 10 hours for me to prep one long form script, because I want to make sure it's factually accurate, follow all the PIF guidelines. Shorts for about 2 or 3 hours, and I will script it, and then I will let it settle. Then I will read it out aloud to make sure it flows. And then what I used to do is think, right, I've got a lovely man down the road to come and film 4 of them in a go, and then I'll think about finding the B-roll and the title and the thumbnail. I'm now kind of learning that I need to kind of start thinking with a thumbnail and a title first, just to get the bit I find difficult out the way. And finding medical B-roll is really blooming hard.
Yeah.
I've had to pay for some stuff on Shutterstock. There's quite a lot on Canva and Envato Elements for free, but that's what I find really hard. When you get these amazing snappy videos and there's something changing every 8 seconds and I'm doing a monologue about chemotherapy, that takes the time. I had no idea. But again, it's trying to remind myself, this is how I would explain it to make sense to me, but I'm not my listener. And what do they want to know first, and how to make it sexy and exciting and catchy. And there's a lot of trial and error. And I'm learning with shorts, it's all about the hook. Again, another word I didn't know. What's that first sentence that's going to grab them? And how do you build tension? How do you keep them watching? So I did this crazy thing using tacos and a variety of condiments and cough syrup to explain nipple discharge. It's like, this is disgusting. But I got 2.5 million views in a week. And then all my other videos are a lot lower. So it's trying to think of props and different ways of explaining stuff. And I'm actually really enjoying getting my creative hat on. But it's hard work.
I love that. I think you can really find different ways. Yeah, it's really hard work. I think you can really find different ways to express your creativity as well. Because it sounds like you started with wanting to help people, but then thought, well, if I want to help people, I also need to try and think about how to make it exciting and entertaining as well. But I think there's still value on certain topics where you might talk and you can't really have all of that pizzazz because it might be quite sensitive.
I get this real contrast in my head between, I want to do a proper medical health explainer video that isn't going to go viral, but I know people need it. And I've got that, which is what I really want to do against the, but I'm shallow. I want the viral shorts, so I want to get this and this recognition. And it's really, you're kind of torn between the two. But I think actually, I just want to explain cancer so people understand and they know I'm a trusted resource. And they've not come to me for the dancing and the gimmicks and the cat cut tricks. So I kind of have a bit of a play with the shorts, but I think it's staying true to your niche. We're not gimmicky as health content creators. We're there to fill in the gaps between what the doctor says and what you want to find out when you get home. And I think keeping that in mind, you are not going to be a viral health channel doing health education. And that's okay. Yeah. That's not what we're here for. But it's really hard when other people are going like, wow, and you think, I want a bit of that. Do you find that?
Yeah, I do find that actually when I'm like, oh, so I just made this really helpful video about how to apply calamine lotion, which is so niche and it's got like 100 views. But do you know what? 6 months down the line, it's got 40,000 views, which means that people did need it, but they may not have needed it at the very moment that I uploaded
And
it.
that's it. You know, you upload a video and every hour you're kind of looking at the likes, and actually it takes time. It's a library. You almost got to come back and look at the views, as you said, 6 months down the line.
Yeah, exactly. And then you know that you've helped, X number of people find that piece of information that they were looking for at that moment in time. And I think
for me, sorry, no, go on.
I was going to say, if you want to go viral, there are formulas for that, but it'll often involve doing things that make you feel uncomfortable or try to get a reaction out of the audience. And like you said, we're not really gimmicky. We're here to provide health information to help
and your
people.
Audience,
yeah,
your audience often don't like it when you try that. I think that's really important.
Yeah, because I think some people think, oh no, a doctor's on social media, they're going to start doing dancing. Well, if they're dancing and they've got helpful information bubbles coming up, then that's fine.
And some do, and they're brilliant, but that's not me. And it's kind of that, this is what I do. Come for the sensible, boring advice that's not sexy, but I'm here and you can trust me. And that's okay.
Yeah, exactly. Do you think that making videos and content has made you a better communicator?
Oh, hugely. I was going to say, for me, most of my videos were on Instagram, but people ask me, have you done a video on collagen and breast cancer? Let me scroll back through my feed from 4 years ago. So YouTube is an evergreen library where it's easy for people to find my content. And that's why I think it's really important to me. And I forgot the question you asked, blooming menopause brain. What did you ask, Virginia? Sorry.
Why? Sorry. No, I've forgotten.
Oh, gosh. I can't remember. I'm so sorry. I went off on one.
No, I asked you something about, do you think making videos makes you a better communicator?
Oh, better communicator. Yes, I do. I do, because when you're communicating in the clinic, when you're telling someone you've got cancer, you don't get any feedback. You don't know how you did. You can't watch yourself. You just have that patient's hidden reaction because they just want to leave the room. You think people understand what you're saying. And I've heard metaphors that other colleagues use. Oh my God, they said that. That's horrific. But to them, it made sense. And I think watching yourself, you realize that doesn't make sense, or you speak too quickly, or that doesn't work. And it's made me understand how to explain science in really simple terms. It's like I wrote an article about chemo for the Mail on Sunday, and the Times said, can you write an article? Oh, great, I can ramp it up a bit, because they said our readers are a bit more educated. So I gave them A level, and they said, yeah, no, sorry. We need GCSE or below, because our people can't do that. And I think the average reading age of an adult in the UK is 9. And it really makes you think about how you explain things and using simple terms. And it's really improved how I think about explaining stuff, just in everyday life as well. And as a speaker, watching yourself on a video and hearing how you speak and how you move and go, yes, my head does that all the while, whatever it is, that really helps your performance too.
Yeah, I love that. I think also, just to pick up on watching yourself, I actually saw a video the other day which had the top rated comment was, the doctor looks like he's agreeing with the information, but he keeps shaking his head side to side. So there's a bit of mixed signals. So, your body language and what you say and what you show on screen has to be coordinated. So you need to give the same message in the 3 different directions.
I think my first videos, I was so scared. I was still, my hands didn't move. I was reading out, there was no motion. And now I'm a bit, my hands are everywhere. And you find that balance. But I think people want to see our faces. They want to trust us. It's just you pretend you're talking to someone as if they're sat in front of you like a clinic. And I think that takes a lot of the scariness away. You're just chatting. It's fine. Doesn't matter if you go wrong. It's all good.
Yeah. And I think also it doesn't matter if you go wrong because you can edit it out.
Yeah. You told me about the teleprompter apps. Because initially I had a script and I'd have the script propped up on my computer with the camera there and my eye contact was going everywhere. And then I tried to memorize it and 40 takes later I couldn't. So having a teleprompter app on the phone, or I've just bought an Elgato Plus, it's brilliant as a teleprompter for when I'm filming, means I can just read the script out naturally and they voice sync. So suddenly that's taken the videos to the next level. It's just these little tricks that just make your life easier.
Yeah, and I think when you go through the experience of trying to memorize your script, you just think, give up immediately. But But once you've got something like PromptSpot or Elgato teleprompter, then it makes you feel a lot more relaxed. So you're able to
Yeah,
perform, and your filming time is a lot shorter as well. So you feel like, okay, this is only going to take half an hour. I have time for this rather
yeah,
than
Lily.
5 hours and 40 takes later. So
I've been there.
yeah, same. I've done like 60 takes, and I was like, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? But it was worth it. It was worth it in the end.
Yeah.
But then I thought I need to figure out a solution for this because it's going to be a massive barrier to filming ever again.
Yeah. And our
Um,
time is precious as health content
so
creators. If you work as well, you do not have a lot of time to do this.
yeah, exactly. I agree. So what would be your top tips for someone who wants to get into creating health information videos?
I say you've got nothing to lose because patients are desperate for sensible information and they just want to see your face on a camera. So just talk to your phone. You don't need, I started with my phone. You don't need any fancy kit at all. I would say you need to give patients what they're searching for. So if you want to talk about asthma, go into YouTube and type asthma and see all the videos that come up just to get an idea of what is trending, what they're looking for, because then you're more likely to get views. Although you're not doing it for views, but you are. And if you want to do a longer video that's maybe 4, 5, 10 minutes long, you can then think, right, well, okay, well, I can break that down into lots of little shorts to get more content from this. And this could be a Twitter post and that could be a blog. So actually one long form script can be lots of different content that you can reuse. And I think that can make your life easier as well. And
Yeah.
caption everything, because you upload captions to YouTube as an SRT file, then they can be watched in any language. I think that's really, really important. And most people listen I listen without the sound on.
I do that too.
What would your 3 tips be? I want
I
to
love
learn
that.
now.
So my 3 tips would be, don't think about what other people are thinking when they're going to watch your video, because that can really overwhelm you, because you'll think, oh no, is my hair all right? Am I looking at the camera? Is my top okay? Am I doing too much with my hands? If you just have all of these thoughts in your head, it's going to stop you from being on camera, and the performance is going to be terrible. So you need to really relax. And like you said, think about speaking to one person, and that person could be a patient or a friend or someone who's just asked you a question randomly on the street and they don't know who you are, but you know that you're a doctor. So what would you actually say that could be helpful to that person? So having your kind of healthcare professional mindset, but, tone it down so that it's not technical. Because I think we overthink how we come across on camera as well. And also, most people won't actually watch you. They will just read the captions. So I realized that people are not there to watch me. I'm not like America's Next Top Model. I am actually just a healthcare professional showing you how to do something. And they're not really going to be wondering what you look like or even what you sound like. They're probably just watching what you're doing, especially if it's a how-to video. So with the calamine lotion, I try to do as many different things with my hands and the calamine lotion as I could, just to demonstrate what people could do at home. And I think that's what made it really helpful for people, because they wanted a practical demonstration that I can't do in the pharmacy. So that would be my second tip, which is try to do something you can do on camera that you wouldn't normally be able to do, because that's the value of video. So, how many bottles of calamine lotion have I sold, but how many times have I ever opened the bottle in front of a patient and actually showed them how to use it? I can't, because I'm in the pharmacy and I've got 12 people waiting in the queue.
Yeah.
So, and it'll get messy as well. It's a liquid, so it's going to go everywhere. And I think my third tip would be, don't overthink your videos as well. So you don't need to do the complete guide to breast cancer in one video. It's like, no, that's a book. But you could do a series of videos to explain that topic. And so now that you've got little chunks which are a lot more manageable, and you can put out those videos in pretty much any order, or you can decide that they're supposed to be watched in a specific order, and you can create that into a playlist. So I think trying to make the task as small and achievable as possible means that you're more likely to complete it. And then also people are more likely probably to watch the whole thing. unless they really want a deep dive, because there's a difference between someone who just wants to know the answer to something and someone who wants to know the answer, but in a very long and detailed
Yeah.
kind of Netflix series kind of way. So give people options, and always timestamp. Bonus tip. Always
Now, what do
timestamp.
you mean by time stamping for people who have no idea what you're talking about?
So timestamping is when you go to the specific point in the video where you switch from talking about one thing to another thing, and you actually put that time code in your video description on YouTube. I think you can do it on X or Twitter now. And essentially, let's say I introduce the video and say, hey, I'm Virginia, I'm a pharmacist, and today we're going to talk about, travel health tips if you're going to Bali. And then let's say that was 5 seconds. And then at 0005, I'll say, first things you need to consider are vaccinations. So then in my timestamps, I'll say vaccinations you need for Bali, and so on. So you split up your video into little bits. And then if somebody searches for something on Google or on YouTube, then that little timestamp could actually indicate to Google or YouTube that you've included that very specific piece of information in that 1 minute of your 10-minute video. And so,
yeah. So to me, that's putting in chapters myself rather than putting them in automatically. Is that kind of what you're talking about? But I did not realize that Google could search. So the titles of those time frames. I've learned something.
Yeah, there you go.
I think for me, it's so I could say, what is breast cancer? But people might actually know what cancer is. So what is cancer? I'm talking about a cell. What is a cell? What is a mutation? You can break down every single word, anatomical, medical word, into its simplest detail. And then you build them up. So a gene is this, and a cell is this, and a mutation is this, and a tumor is this, and a cancer is this, and a breast cancer is this. And suddenly, something you know instantly becomes 7 or 8 different videos.
Yeah, exactly. And it's much easier for people to consume as well. So they might, it's kind of like when you listen to a podcast, you want to, I don't know, listen to a business podcast, but you don't have time to listen to the whole episode, but you really want to know the bit where they start talking about, I don't know, how to set up your tax structure or something.
Yeah.
So, giving people choice, I think, is really important, and not wasting their time, because people never want to feel like you've stolen their time to get a view. So being really respectful of that. And I think that kind of links to my experience as a writer. You really want to make sure that you give people just the information and just enough information so that they can, move on with their information search or whatever action they want to take next. So where do you see yourself going as a content creator?
Bali now.
I'll tell you what vaccinations you need later.
Oh gosh. So it's really hard because I've kind of set up a way to help people in all the different ways they consume content. So I've got my professional talks, and I'm going to branch. I want to be called the doctor's doctor, to actually help doctors cope and give resilience to doctors, because I've been through the mental and physical health. So that's really pushing my speaking gigs to help as many people as I can. I love making the videos. I love doing the podcast, but I pay for that myself. And I think it's a great way of getting content, but that's again, really, really hard as well. And I've just finished my 3rd book, The Cancer Roadmap. So I've got the writing. I want to write a crime thriller and a children's book, but I miss doing the research for another nonfiction book. So I don't quite know what's going to come, but I love the writing. I've loved discovering how not to write a PhD. I love doing the videos. I want to try and branch out into cancer a bit more generally and try and get to 100,000 followers. And I think, I'm not saying that because I want the followers, but as an author and a speaker, the more, and as a debunker, the more followers you have, the more valid people think you are. The world is shallow. If you have 1 million followers, everything you're saying is the truth. And if you've just got 20,000, no one cares because you're small fry. So I think for me, it's trying to spend the next year getting my YouTube channel as big as I can, so I am known as I'm the educator in the space, which will then help me grow the rest of my business. I think that's what I want to focus on.
Yeah.
But it's hard.
Yeah, it's so hard. And I think also that you're so right when it comes to, the number of followers doesn't really correlate to having a consistent audience, because you might have 1 million followers, but you've only got 10,000 people that will watch everything.
As an example, my 2 most popular videos. One is when I said debunking a video that said sugar causes cancer. I said, this is nonsense. Half the comments were either death threats or your glasses look awful.
Oh gosh.
I can handle it. It's fine. But with my 2.5 million nipple discharge video, half of the comments are from men of a certain background who are calling me abusive names, saying, why the flip is she doing it? So actually, I don't want 2 million people to look at that video. I only want 100,000 because they're the people who really, really need it. So it's actually, can I get a couple of viral videos just to bump the followers up? But I know I have my small niche who need me.
Yeah,
it's not losing sight of you are doing this to help the patients in your clinic who can't actually get to see you in clinic. I think that's the way you look at it.
Yeah, I think that's so important. And I think, like you said, it's an international platform, so you won't be able to please everyone, but you'll be able to help many more people.
Yeah. So you need my biggest tip to anyone, you need a thick skin. The people commenting are strangers. They do not know you and you do not owe them anything and you do not need to reply. The couple of times I've replied to comments criticizing me or my opinions, I've forgotten that it's public and you can get into an awful backlash. I get all the anti-COVID people commenting on my flu vaccine video. I've learned just to ignore them. Don't fuel the fire. What happens now is my own followers will reply on my behalf and say, hey, don't knock Dr. Liz's work. Just thick skin. They're strangers. Their opinion does not matter. Let it go.
Yeah, it's so true. It's not worth the mental bandwidth.
It hurts. That criticism, when you spend hours making this video and they go, oh my God, and you take it personally.
Yeah.
Let it go. Please don't stop. Just let it go.
Yeah. And I think also, like, you know, you'll have afterthoughts and things, but they, you know, it's not going to do anything good if you keep thinking about it for too long. And you can always hide the person from your channel. You can
block them.
Yeah, block them, delete them, and they won't know you've done it. So
no, they're strangers. They mean nothing to you in the ground, and you won't get many, I promise you, because you're just putting out sensible content. Every once in a while, when you're on a topical, controversial subject, expect the bad comments, ignore them, and move on.
Brilliant. So, what's your? Have you tried to get your husband into content creation?
No, so Dermot, my husband, was on Twitter. He was a Twitter guy. We started dating in about 2012. And when I started blogging about my cancer on Twitter back in 2015, I suddenly overtook the number of followers he had. And he now calls himself the husband of the more famous wife, which I quite like. No, he's not on Instagram. He uses Blue Sky. He's more into American news and politics. He's very busy doing his job. It's not really his thing. And I quite like I have my own little world. But it's funny, everyone, I've learned when I'm talking as a patient, I need to share the bad days as well as the good, because otherwise patients, they hate me. You know, I can't be like her. Look at everything she's doing. Oh my God, she's amazing. It's not real. You know, I'm having a really bad day. And you share bad days. And sometimes I exaggerate to get the likes. You know, we all do it. It's a form of entertainment. I'm having a really, really bad day. And my lovely aunt in Scotland follows me on Instagram and she'll send me a text saying, oh, I didn't realize you were poorly. Thinking, I'm not, I was just kind of milking it for Instagram. I'm really sorry. And you can kind of get in this really weird world where you forget who's watching you and who isn't. So, but I found being honest and saying sometimes I don't, even as medical content, I don't know how to treat this. And I find it really hard when patients present with these problems and saying, we don't know all the answers. I know how hard it is. I think that can make you feel really honest and genuine. So you're not preaching, you're having an open-ended discussion.
Yeah, I think it's so true to treat social media like a never-ending conversation with your audience. And
sorry, it is very easy to walk down the rabbit hole of giving medical advice. Because people see a video and they reply to a comment and, hey, can I just ask you this? Can I just ask you this? I think it's really easy for me to do this because I've been a breast surgeon all my life. Yeah, here's a quick thing. That's illegal. I can't give them medical advice. I'm not their doctor. And you get lulled into this false sense of security. So having a generic, I'm really sorry, I can't give personal medical advice. You need to ask your doctor, or a disclaimer at the end of every video saying, this is not personal medical advice. It's really, really important.
Yeah, it's so true because you don't know who they are. You can't have a conversation with them. And
sorry, my alarm's gone off. So do you want to say that again? Sorry. So it's really important.
That's all right. So it's really important to say that, you know, you can't give them advice because you're not their doctor. You can't see them. You can't have a conversation with them. And as much as there's, you know, video conversations now that you can have with your doctor, that's very different because people will tell you things in a different way if you are not their doctor. And I think it's so important to realize the gravity of what you put out there that people might be actually using as advice, but you can say that that's not your intention, which is totally fine, and that's how it is. And obviously people spend hours on these platforms, so if they've got a health condition that they've been ignoring for a long time and then they suddenly see your face pop up and you urge them to go and see their doctor, then that's the point. So yeah, because it's so easy to numb your brain from all of your problems by just doom scrolling or trying to find entertainment. And most people have a regular, job where they have to commute in the morning, they spend all day somewhere, then they come back home and they want to switch off. But if you get their attention when they're in that mode, then I think that's a massive success.
And I find it really hard because this is like a job for me. I don't really scroll Instagram or YouTube looking for content to watch. It's a job. So in the evening, when you post something in the evening, because that's when everyone is looking at content, you end up working by answering to comments when you should be with your husband or your wife or your family and your partner. So it's trying really hard to say, I don't look at my phone after 7:00 unless I'm doing a live. And they say you should reply to comments in the first hour of the video. Then suddenly it's 9:00 and you're in this loop. And it's like, it doesn't matter, really. You need to keep those barriers in place because it can consume every waking minute of your day.
Yeah, that's true. And as your audience gets bigger, you feel more pressure to do that. So you don't have to
and
do
when
that.
You've got 5 channels, seriously, I've got LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, X, Blue Sky. You can't keep them all running. And there's some point we have to say, actually, I'm not their nanny. I can't look after them all now. It's time for them to look after themselves. And it feels really hard. But when you're not getting paid for any of this, it's just, you need the barriers for you.
Yeah. And I think also you've kind of got your solid piece of content as your books. So if people really want to ask you a question, they can read the book first. And then it's likely that
you feel so bad saying... You feel so bad saying, yes, I could give you a quick 2-minute voice note or I can make you spend money buying my book. But actually, you buy the book, I get 40p. I quite like that 40p, please. You don't write books to make money. I will say that.
Yeah, that's true. You don't make books to make money. You make books to make a point.
You do.
Yeah. Well, it's been wonderful speaking with you. So thank you so much for your wisdom and your top tips and your honesty and humility. It's been a real joy.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
All right. Thank you to the audience for watching or listening. I hope you've enjoyed this episode and learned a lot, and we'll see you at the next one. Bye.
Bye.